So you got arrested. Now your whole life is flashing in front of your face. You don't have your criminal defense attorney on speed dial, and you don't know what to do. You're in jail. You got arrested. Everything is spinning around. You're thinking about your career, your family. You don't know what to do. So today, we're going to help you understand how to choose a criminal defense attorney. And we are blessed to be able to talk to J.L. Carpenter, who just won Best of the Best Criminal Defense Attorney with the Houston Chronicle 2024. Congratulations.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me here. I like your new digs.
Well, I tell you one thing, it's a cool spot.
Yeah.
So moving over to the area where I live now, there's a lot more adult. It's kind of like an adult playground. So there's a lot more shenanigans that happen. A lot of friends of mine get arrested for DWIs and all these things, but they're never prepared for that.
Who is?
Never prepared, right? And I hear all this back and forth on who they're going to call, and 800 people are telling them, no, call this person, no, call that person. But when you get into criminal defense, it's not like a corporate lawyer or a tax attorney. This is a highly specialized industry, and relationships are vital in this.
Yes.
And what you're risking is your future, your career, your family, and your freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So that decision better be right. And that's what I want to focus on today. I know you, and I see what you do for your clients. We talk about it literally every week. But for somebody who hasn't been through this process, who is now faced with this,
right,
I want them to understand what makes you so different, so special, and so effective for your clients. So help me understand. Give us kind of a ballpark picture of your career so that they know what kind of attorney, where you came from. Help me understand that.
All right. Well, I'm a native Houstonian, born and raised here in Houston, and I started practicing about 24 years ago. I started my defense practice in 2006. I kind of had a divine path along the way because God just put these high-profile attorneys in my life that took me under their wings and trained me. So my career kind of started off with a bang because my first case was sitting second chair with the Honorable Craig Washington. It was a federal trial where there was a truck driver who had some immigrants in his trailer in Victoria that had passed away from heat exhaustion. And so that was kind of like the big bang to start this career. And then after that, Chip Lewis asked me to sit with him on the Timothy Shepard case, which was a man accused of, it's gruesome, but butchering his girlfriend and possibly putting her on his barbecue pit.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then, as you know, I just recently did 3 trials with Rick DeToto on the A.J. Armstrong case. So I've had an opportunity to work with great lawyers in Houston and learn under them.
So for those of you who do not understand, 99% of criminal defense attorneys, if they have one high-profile case that they're involved with their entire career, it's a miracle, okay? She starts off with 3. When you became a defense attorney, you were a district attorney before that.
Right. I was a prosecutor first and then became a defense attorney.
A prosecutor, not district attorney. So how did you, so you get out of high school.
Right.
You're going to go to college. Starry-eyed, great grades. What'd you want to be?
So I kind of wanted to go to medical school, but I also knew I wanted to be a mom, and I was worried about how long that might take. So I also knew I wanted to know what my rights were, and I decided I wanted to go to law school. But during that time, I was earning my degree in hotel and restaurant management from the Hilton College at U of H, because what if I didn't get into law school? I needed something practical to back me up, right? And then I met my kid's dad, and I didn't know he had already been in criminal trouble when I first met him. He was just so good looking, came from a wealthy family, and I was 20 years old. He was 25. And so he had gotten in trouble, and that kind of really accelerated my whole legal experience. But I went to law school. 2 weeks after I found out I was going to law school. I found out I was expecting our first daughter.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was locked up because
my God.
he had gotten in trouble again. And so I had her my first semester of law school. And then when he got out, we got back together, tried to work it out. And I ended up having our son my last semester of law school. And we haven't been together since my son was born, but we've stayed in touch. Actually, he's gotten in trouble a couple of times where I've defended him successfully. So,
well, let's focus on that just a little bit because, 25, 30 years ago, things were different.
Right.
Right. So he came from a wealthy family. They hid his indiscretions.
Right. Alcoholism. I mean,
right.
It's in every family. Right.
Right.
But back then, people kind of tried to sweep that stuff under the rug and not address it. So he basically went to the penitentiary for felony DWI. And that's when I realized that we need rehabilitation in the criminal justice system. Mm-hmm. And had he had back then what we have today, his life would look a lot different. My kids would have had a more active parent in their lives. So that kind of is what instigated my role in criminal justice. And then I got hired as a prosecutor in Galveston County. And that was in 2001. And that was about the time that the infamous Robert Durst case happened in Galveston County.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah. And so I wasn't part of that case. I was just a young peon prosecutor. But in my spare time, I would try to go up to the courtroom and see what was going on. I
remember that.
Yeah. I mean, it's all over like the Jinx and all these Netflix specials and Hulu or whatever. You can find the Robert Durst case everywhere. But, and so they did individual voir dire or jury selection in that case. And even though you had to have a press pass to get in, nobody wanted to watch that process because it was like watching paint dry, right? And so I was able to get into the courtroom and I saw the attorney, Chip Lewis, questioning the potential jurors. And he would ask them, if you have the legal right to kill somebody in your home, anything you do with the body thereafter, does it change the fact that you had a legal right to kill him in the first place? No. I walked downstairs and I told one of my higher ups, I was like, they're going to win this case because, as you know, I've always said, jury selection, that's where you win and lose a case.
Yeah, yeah.
And at that point, the defense was already dividing it up into the jurors' minds, right? So I met Chip during that trial. And at the time, because I grew up in Spring Branch here in Houston, but I was driving to Galveston round trip every day for work. And so he's the one that talked me into starting my defense practice.
So how long were you a prosecutor?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And was it difficult for you because you get into a process and you know, it becomes your life, and then departing from that and starting something on your own is a pretty scary prospect, and switching sides. Right.
Well, I would say that being a prosecutor is very rewarding and you get to help people, but you get to help people on the defense side as well. And I didn't realize as a prosecutor how many people who are arrested and charged with something are actually not guilty of what they've been charged with. So it was very eye-opening on the defense side. But, you know, when Chip was talking me into starting my own practice, he said, if fear is the only thing holding you back, because I was a single mom, right?
Wow.
And he was like, if fear is the only thing holding you back, jump, I've got you. And I trusted him. And he did. He took me under his wing. He introduced me to people. He taught me how to do the defense practice. And then he made referrals for people who couldn't afford him. You know, me just starting out, he would refer them to me. And then I worked really hard to build up a referral-based practice. So you can advertise as much as you want, but when it comes to that crucial moment like you were talking about, I've been charged with something, what do? Word of mouth experience is the best form of referrals.
Well, there's the one thing that I want to get out of this conversation that will benefit people who don't know who they need, which really makes you shine for your clients, is your passion.
Right.
Every attorney is going to tell you that they're, you know, compassionate with your situation, but you know, there's guys that are good trial lawyers, and they go in and they win and they take their check and leave, and they could care less, right? It's just another case to them. You know, like a baseball player that can park home runs all day. But there's a big difference in the way that you practice and represent your clients that yield these results. And I want you to explain what that is.
Well, first of all, I know it sounds cliche, but I am passionate about the work that I do. My heart is in it. And as you know from my experience, having my kid's dad locked up, I remember a time when I was a prosecutor and he was behind bars and he would write me and say, "Stop putting people away with me." And I'd say, "Stop telling people you know me." But, and having had that personal experience with the criminal justice system, you know that you have people's lives in your hands and they're trusting you with their lives, right? So I look for the truth. I'm a truth seeker. I go through hours and hours and hours of body cam and dash cam looking to see if somebody made a statement that maybe the police didn't put in their report. Maybe one officer didn't hear it and this other officer picked it up. Or, one time we talked about it was on the from the EMS that we heard the statement that made the crucial difference in a case that got no billed. So I go through with a fine-tooth comb, leaving no stone unturned, to make sure that we have seen every inch of the state's evidence and how we can make our argument to see the truth.
Well, and I will tell you that we talk about all these past cases that you've had, all these people. I was in your office, and people are bringing you cakes and stuff. I mean, these people cherish you for what you were able to do for their families, and a lot of these stories are tragic. I mean, these people are not criminals at all, but they're put in a situation that can put them away forever,
right?
Or 20 years, and it's just odd circumstances that happen. And the police didn't write it in their report. The DA doesn't know about it, but it's that crucial piece of evidence that you found on those body cams,
right,
doing your research, that exonerated that person.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the difference, because you actually do care.
I do.
It's a personal experience and commitment for you because of your personal experience.
Right.
So I think that is the core of why you're so passionate about winning and proving the truth for your clients.
I do not like to lose.
Yeah, well, nobody does. Did you want to talk about sobriety?
So, my kid's dad struggled with sobriety, and then there came a time when it's very easy in our arena in this industry to drink. Everybody's drinking, but there came a time, I think in 2008, when I felt like I was leaning a little too hard on the wine, and that I needed to make some changes. And so I went into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I decided to quit drinking, which was life-changing. You can compare yourself to others, but for me, the personal choice was I felt like it was something that was holding me back, and I didn't want anything to hold me back from being the best lawyer, the best mother, the best daughter, the best person that I could possibly be. So now, having that experience, when people come to me in my office, if I feel like, or if they're open with me that they may have an issue with alcohol, I also have that personal experience to be able to coach people into getting into a 12-step program, or seeking counseling, or doing life-changing measures that will prevent them from being in that situation in the future.
Well, everyone's personal experiences guides their future. Right? Good, bad, or indifferent, history has a way of impacting moving forward. And I think that your personal experiences, many of which are tragic, built your character and your conviction to use your talents to represent people that usually are not going to be well represented.
Right.
And I don't mean that to be malicious. It's just a fact. It doesn't matter if it's an accounting firm or a contractor. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
Right.
And you don't know in your business which one you're getting. It's a complete coin flip.
Right.
Pure luck, right? It's certainly not a pragmatic decision unless you are a professional criminal and you've had bad representation.
Well, it takes one to know one, right? So I had this one client, her fiance brought her in. She was already charged with DWI. And so she's sitting there in front of me across the desk, and she's kind of looking down. She's got gobs of makeup on. She's drinking a Monster. And I asked her, I said, "So what is your sobriety date? When was the last time you had a drink?" I knew it was that morning. I knew it was right before she came to my office, right? And she tried to lie to me and say, oh, it's been, 30 days or whatever. And then finally she broke because she could see, I could see, right? And she finally broke and started crying. And that afternoon, she went ahead and put herself into inpatient rehab. She's still sober today. We got her case dismissed. And those are the kinds of things that I love to see happen in this industry. If I didn't have that personal experience, there's no way I would have been able to connect to her to make that happen.
Well, and again, that's what I'm saying. Humans are emotional, right? And we have certain things that drive our passion, our success in business and everything else. And a lawyer, or let's say a builder, something people can relate to. You can see a builder's house when he's got a lot of passion for the way that thing comes out, because it's going to get in a magazine, right? It's what makes the magazines interesting. But in your business, you are that builder. You are that person that would be in that magazine, but just in criminal defense.
Right.
So,
and in fact, in that situation, she had asked my office if she could just do the meeting on Zoom. And I said, no, I want her in, because I could already tell from the messaging, right? You can tell when someone's drinking. And I said, no, I want her in the office. And
JL, what sets you apart?
I think it's my dedication. I think it's my heart. I give 110% in everything that I do for my clients, and the rest is up to God.
Well, that's that.
Thanks, Mike. If you go to jail, call JL.